Rick and Morty comic issue 35. Rick welcomes Summer and Morty to his ripoff of Jurassic Park, and fortunately it immediately has Summer lampshade that this is too copycatty. Summer just gets told off for hypocrisy because she gets her fall look from grocery store magazines. Fall look? She always wears the same thing. She says that at least she has a look, which is stupid since she's talking to someone who must intentionally look like a stereotypical mad scientist. And yet Rick insists he doesn't care about his appearance, even though he does have a look. Then he brags that his look really works out for him, in a way that we usually don't see any proof of. He goes up to a dinosaur guarding its eggs while waving some leaves telling it to get back, and he expects that to work out, and he says that someone with a curious appetite is willing to pay him a lot of money for it to cover his critical costs for a year. I guess Rick finds it's too boring to simply steal money from people's wallets with his portal gun. And maybe he feels better about making money by selling people stuff, because at least they're happy about it. But still a weak excuse for his plan of the week when there's a million other alternatives. A giant dinosaur approaches Rick, as I'm still unimpressed by how the plot is so derivative. Especially considering that an episode of the show was already inspired by Jurassic Park, and was way less obvious about it instead of instantly reminding you of Jurassic Park the whole time. It let you stay invested in the story as its own thing, because it took place inside a hobo's body, in a theme park of Rick's that was meant to show off diseases instead of dinosaurs. So naturally I didn't see the connection. Summer's too scared to bring Rick his bag, and predictably the dinosaurs turn out to be friendly to Rick as one high-fives him, because unlike some other characters, he's not an idiot. Which explains why the dinosaur he stole an egg from didn't kill him for it despite looking annoyed with him. Rick explains why he's so much smarter than the people who made Jurassic Park, because everything on this island is subservient to his appearance and scent. Now it's kinda worth it. He was inspired by the movie, but didn't make the same mistake as it. So it's like it's better written than the movie. See, that's the point of making a story that was already done. Rick wants to get out of here because he got what he needed. And predictably, Morty and Summer want to see the rest of the park. Morty says the park's decrepit, and Rick explains that that's because the park never got off the ground. A lot of businessmen and investors backed out, concerned about health insurance coverage and animal rights. That's also more realistic. He shows resentment for those people, and then we see some people cooking dinosaur meat over a bonfire, with one of them relatably concerned about the meat being burned. And then they yell at Rick and want revenge because he left them to die here 20 years ago. But why? He has a portal gun. Wouldn't it be smarter for him to at least charge them for the privilege of getting portaled home? Also, how do the dinosaurs stay alive? The dinosaurs in ancient times were able to stay alive because there's a lot more oxygen in the atmosphere, or at least it was different in some other way. So I guess Rick genetically engineered the dinosaurs to be able to stay alive in Earth's normal atmosphere. It makes sense that Rick doesn't have a ray gun to shoot them all right away because it's 3 against 1, and he didn't expect anybody to attack him in this planet. And he didn't bring his lab coat since it was holding the dinosaur eggs for him. He's a reckless person in general. He must have also left his portal gun behind too, which was also reckless of him. Especially in a park where any dinosaur might step on it. Needless to say, it's hard for the comic to balance sometimes that he's reckless, but he's also really smart. Which go completely against each other. He spits alcohol on the fire, and then after Rick lies to Morty when he's called out, one of the guys says that when he shut the power off on the island to steal embryos, he left them to die. I don't like the guy with the hat because his dialogue sucks. Summer tells Rick to offer them a way home, somehow thinking they can be reasoned with when they're that mad. And they're so mad that it makes sense that they refuse to pay them for it. And Rick uncharacteristically follows that advice with a smile. And when he gets hit in the neck by a tranquilizer dart, he says that they can't take him down with just one, saying unrealistically they use them for eye drops. Well, it makes sense if somebody who did so many bad things would have a harder time getting to sleep, but I mean, you'd think it'd be lethal to use it as an eye drop. He then gets shot by a bunch of them at once and passes out because he wasted time talking to them to vent, getting defeated by his own personality. So Morty and Summer make the rational, if disloyal decision to run away from Rick and crawl through a duct to escape the park instead. Then Summer's disgusted at seeing dinosaurs interact in a way that they couldn't have in the movies. Another thing that makes this original. But then they have to run from dinosaurs. Good thing they can outrun them. I guess they're bioengineered to be slower than humans. And also bioengineered to not have feathers like real dinosaurs did, because that's how they looked in the movies. Morty shows some hidden depths by immediately knowing the name of one of the dinosaurs because he researched dinosaurs. Probably from learning about the movies. I wish Morty had more moments like this. That show that curiosity for learning runs in the family, and he could be kinda smart like Rick someday. Being a slow learner doesn't mean you can't memorize a whole bunch of information. Naturally, Summer tells Morty to shut up, being mad at how he thought now was a good time to correct her on science. That makes up for the tone breaking earlier. Then, they're saved in a realistic lucky break because the dinosaurs that threatened them get eaten by a larger one. I wonder if that ever happened in the movies instead of it just being about dinosaurs chasing humans, who would provide less meat from being so small. They hide, and Morty, despite being told to shush, makes an amusing joke. You know what kind of dinosaur that was, Summer? Rick told me. It was an I don't think they saw us. It's amusing because it's a surprise, as I expected him to tell me the actual name of it like before, but instead he makes a pun at a time like this. He's so experienced with dealing with Rick's danger that he tries to feel better about it with ill-timed levity, showing some realistic character development getting used to it. Summer still takes it seriously because she's not used to it. She tells him, "Do you really think it's the right time for puns, Morty?" Morty says, "I don't know, Summer, you tell me. I wasn't expecting another one." This is better than the puns in the Sonic comics because it's actually lampshaded. Summer, hopefully joking, says that she has a plan, but it involves them eating him while she runs away. That wouldn't really work because the other dinosaurs who aren't eating him would still go after her. And he's not even a big meal to a dinosaur. Also, she cares about him. So she's just bluffing. Obviously. Morty's so used to Rick being a jerk that he doesn't take it to heart. I guess just being used to the sibling rivalry. And says sarcastically that she's real funny, and says that she's a life-ruining drinking habit in a lab coat away from being Rick. Minus the genius part. This gives Summer an idea, and it turns out the guys just kidnapped Rick, and want him to get them off the island. This justifies his survival, but it is confusing since one of them clearly wanted to kill him. Rick's spiteful enough to say that if they were actually tough, they'd have gotten themselves off the island, and says he'll just wait for his grandkids to save him. I like that one of them constantly shows morality. It turns out what they're seeing is Summer wearing Rick's lab coat awesomely right on top of a dinosaur, saying, "You're about to get Jurassic kicked!" But it's okay because it was kind of a badass one-liner, with her hands in the air like Rick. And it shows her bond with Morty because even she joins in on the puns. Jurassic kick kind of sounds lame, but it's what's happening that makes it kind of cool. Now this is a dark enough and self-aware enough series that puns can be kind of forgiven. While in the Sonic comics, they genuinely seem to only exist because the writers thought puns on their own were going to make the audience laugh. So of course, the dinosaurs killed the ones who kidnapped Rick. Somehow, Summer's surprised at this because she didn't know that would happen. What did she think would happen? Rick says good work for saving him a ton of workplace lawsuits, and says, "You want to see some real bloodthirsty carnivores? Get tied up with some labor attorneys." Realistically, they're traumatized, and Summer shows that she's a better person than Rick as a result. Rick just says she's a clever girl as he figures out her plan. She had tricked the dinosaurs into thinking she was Rick with the scent from his coat and a similar hairstyle. I guess Rick intentionally made sure the dinosaurs' vision sucked. I hate that I'm not going to be able to hide the red stains in these panels. There's only so much I can do to have this look presentable when I have to show off the dialogue and characters. This memorable story started out as ripping off Jurassic Park, but fortunately it had an original story, and the park itself was the only familiar set piece. Rick made the park, and made all the dinosaurs subservient to his appearance and scent to avoid the obvious problem with it. And realistically, the park never got off the ground because the investors and businessmen had brains, which makes the movie seem even more forced because they only happened because of idiot balls. But Rick was smart, which makes more sense if someone's smart enough to bring dinosaurs back in the first place. And it turns out after he got an egg for some money, justifying why they're even here, He ends up kidnapped by people he left to die when he shut off the power to steal some embryos. I don't know why they say steal, they're his dinosaurs. And the day is saved when Summer uses Chekhov's gun with inspiration from Morty. She makes the dinosaur that saved her want to help save Rick by dressing up like him. So the scent programmed them to like her. And the fact that she was horrified by the dinosaurs killing the kidnappers just makes it forced that she was ever happy about carrying out the plan at all. Of course that happened. What did she and Morty expect? That the dinosaur would simply scare the kidnappers and hold them still? Gently nudge them? At least Rick showed his appreciation for them instead of being embarrassed at having to be rescued by them. I bet nothing will come of Summer's guilt though. Like her being charitable and volunteering to make up for it. Because this is an episodic series. But I guess the writer thought it'd be too depressing to see her still upset about this after this issue. Plus, Rick can erase people's memories.